Look, if you have a Scuf Envision, then you will win most likely all your gunfights if you exactly use the settings that I'm giving you like here. What I'm giving you here is not only the setup for the best curves on the left and on the right stick, but I'm giving you also like the no dead slide options and how you can actually do the dives and how you can prone and everything completely separated. But before I explain you everything, let me demonstrate it to you. Look at this. No dead slide with the Scuf Envision. Boom. I'm just using one of my back pedals. No dead sliding anymore. Boom. And here's another thing. You want to dive? No dead dives anymore. No dead dives anymore. It's working perfectly fine. You want to prone? There you go. Everything is here. Get up, prone, get up, prone, get up, prone. Everything is here, perfectly fine working. Boom. And now let me show you guys what I did here so you guys can actually understand what's happening and you can adjust it in case you wanted to do it. But before I'm going to show you what I did in the ICU, you need to do the following in-game. Go to settings, go to keyboard and mouse, go to keybinds. Make sure that you have your prone and dive set to your scroll mouse, like to the button on the scroll mouse. And then go to movement advanced. It's the same thing what we did on the Scuf FPS. Or better said, on the DS4 that I was uploading the other day. Make sure that you have stance down set to K and make sure that you have your slide set to the shift left. And also on the primary on your button number 4 on your mouse, whatever you like to use. Generally, you can set up any kind of buttons that you would like, but this is like the recommended solution here. Once again, I have this from this one dude whose channel I was recommending it in my last video. And in any case, if you have a Scuf Envision, you're basically gonna dominate all over Warzone. I think the Scuf Envision is the most viable controller for any PC player and it gives you such a huge advantages, which I just realized as of today, while I was preparing this video. I just realized it as of today. The only flip side that you have with the Scuf Envision, and this is my personal opinion, is the form. I don't like the form how it's set up. I like the PS5 more. Although they are pretty similar, I still prefer the PS5 version of Scuf rather than the Envision. But guys, if you have an Envision, you're gonna dominate. But now let me show you what I exactly did inside the ICU. And again, I will export the profile. You can find it down below in the link. You can download it and simply import it and use it then as you like. So what I'm definitely not having activated is any kind of lighting because I think it's disturbing. But let's go into the mapping, and this is exactly where the juice is happening. I'll make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it all. Second that I remove just my video so you guys can see it better. All right. Look at this here. So generally with the Scuf Envision, when you go here to the custom, on the mappings in custom, you can configure any button to do anything. It's basically like a keyboard how you can configure it at the end of the day. The Scuf Envision controller is just simply recognized as an input controller. So whatever you want, you can assign it however you want it. And what I did is the following. I assigned to my right button, so like this right trigger button which you have here on the side, I assigned the K key. You can see it here. Boom. So what I essentially did here is on my special button on the right side, I mapped the keybind K, which means every time when I press here on the right side, I will immediately go down into the stance. But I said into stance down. This is exactly what we configured here. If you look with me inside keyboard and mouse, movement, keybinds, advanced keybinds, and then you have here stance down, it's assigned to K. Now let's go back into the ICU. So this is the first thing that I did. The second thing what I did is on my back pedals, like my button, normally which I would be using for sliding, for proning, for stance down, for diving, etc. I remapped this to be, give me a second, to be my left shift. So you can see it here. It's immediately connected to my left shift. Again, this is the keybind that I set in my keyboard inside the game as well. And this is now allowing me to have no dead slide. You can map any kind of movement or mechanics to a specific key and it will execute only this. As you know, we controller players have a little bit of a downside because everything is programmed to your B button or your circle if you're playing on a PlayStation controller, which means your dive, your slide, your stance down, you're prone, everything is exactly programmed on the same button, and it's always depending on how you're using it. So what I essentially did, I'm trying to reconfigure it, making sure that I use my back pedal only for sliding, my special action only for stance down or proning, and my B button I'm using only for diving. And to make sure that only diving is executed while I'm pressing the B, you go inside the settings, you go to controller, you go to movement, and you set your slide dive behavior to dive only. And this is all what you need to do. And this is the way how you get the best out of your Scuf Envision controller. In addition, I also mapped one of those action buttons which you have down below to be the map. So every time when I'm pressing here the middle button, my map is popping up. You can assign any other key that you would like to do. Just to give you an idea, in this case, I made sure that it's tab, and tab, if you go under the settings, keyboard and mouse, keybinds, there should be somewhere map. There you go, scoreboard is set to tab. That being said, you still have another 5 buttons which you could actually configure. I, in my case, configured the left side as well to be the D-pad, so I can ping quite fast without removing my fingers. Or better said, I don't have to move that much with my finger. All the other inputs on the back side are exactly the same, which I'm using by default. So I have one of my back buttons being for switching the weapons. One of my back buttons is to go into text sprint, so the LS, basically pressing LS. And the other one is map to A. You can remap it however you want it, but the main point that what you would like to have, if you don't want to have any kind of dead slides, is that you map your dead slide on one of your back buttons or whatever button you like or prefer. This is just a basic recommendation from my side. When it comes to the thumbsticks, the ICUE has a disadvantage compared to DS4 because you can only set up the curve. You can't set up any kind of anti-dead zones or whatsoever. So I had to test and figure out what's working the best, and in my opinion, this is the best setup for the curves that you can find. Your left stick you would like to have on aggressive. The dead zone I set to 2%. If you have too much dead zone, you can still adjust it in-game. On the right stick, I also set the dead zone to 2%. In case you are having too much stick drift in-game, please adjust it as well in-game, or you can still adjust it here in the software, but I would recommend to do it in-game. But when it comes to the curve, I think the custom one that I set up here is the preferable one for you if you like to play more agile. Otherwise, I strongly recommend that you maybe start trying with linear, and then try with dynamic, and then with exponential, and then aggressive. This is completely up to you. I think this is the one which is best working if you use in-game dynamic as well. And I'm going to show you as well my in-game settings just so that you can guys can compare it fully. Triggers, leave them both on linear. Make sure that the dead zones are set correctly. You have to try it a couple of times because every controller is a little bit differently. And yes, I set both of my triggers to be instant, which I recommend as well for you guys. Vibration, obviously it's off. And profile, as I said, can be found down below. And now to round up the whole thing, I would like to show you as well my in-game settings. So when it comes to the controller, I have a 10-10 sensitivity. These are my dead zones inside. Nothing fancy, nothing terrible. Make sure that your left stick is set to 35, and with the aggressive curve that we have inside, it will be perfectly fine working. When it comes to the aiming, make sure that you have set it up to instant when it comes to the transition timing, and the response curve should be set to dynamic. The custom sensitivity, this is like my personal preferences. You might want to adjust it as well depending on how your playstyle is. I'm more the AR and SMG player, so this is my playstyle. I like to have it fast and snappy. I'm more the AR and SMG player. I like to have it fast and snappy. If you're a little bit more on the slower side and you would like to chill and relax and you take your time while aiming, then you might want to adjust here as well. Other than this, I have the sprint assistant enabled, and you should have it too while using these settings. And that's really all that you have to adjust. Make sure that you hit the like button and share this with your friends who are using as well as Scuf Envision. And I attached here a little bit of gameplay so you can see how the sliding is working inside the game, and you will notice that there is 0 dead slides.